Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank the witnesses for being here today. So many questions, such a distinguished panel, and so little time. Very frustrating. Chair White, if I could start with you, please. Traditionally, your testimony and in your capacity and the previously always has our famous boilerplate that says the views expressed in the testimony are those of the chair of the SEC and not necessarily represent the views of the full commission or any commissioner, standard procedure. But while this is a good disclaimer, I think, for general testimony, we do love it when you all actually give personal views occasionally and not stand on the party line. Here, in the concept of an FSOC testimony, it causes me to want to ask you a few questions. One, of course, you serve on FSOC as one of the 10 voting members. Here's my question. If one of the other 4 FCC commissioners was opposed to one or more of your FSOC positions, does Dodd-Frank require the SEC to vote ahead of the FSOC meeting to determine how you would then represent that view at the FSOC meeting?
It does not, although I do consult with my fellow commissioners before and after the FSOC meetings, but the short answer is no. And so in that
consultation, can you give me an example of where there's been disagreement between commissioners?
No, it's more just, informationally briefing on what's going to come up before FSOC, what I'm intending, and again, under the structure, I'm the member and obviously the voting member, but the member of FSOC. If there is anything to take a position on at the meeting, I convey that, and obviously listen to any, input or difference of point of view, and then afterwards report to the commissioners on, what transpired at the meeting. So, but there's not a structure to, take a vote in advance.
But if to continue sort of the line of questioning early this morning, if you had a commissioner who was particularly passionate on a topic, would you be open to taking them to an FSOC meeting?
Again, I certainly am totally amenable to that point of view and making certain that I fully understand it and take it into account. Again, under the current structure and protocol, the chair or the head of the agencies that are the designated 10 members, voting members, can bring, a +1, as it's called in this town, to the meeting with us, which is, has been a staff member. So it's really not structured to have, the other presidential appointees. Obviously, that creates some sensitivities, no question about it, attend those meetings or, vote on the matters. That's not the current structure. It's up to Congress if they want to change that structure.
Well, it just seems that internally it would be good if there was that level of disagreement where maybe a commissioner wanted to express their views directly to FSOC, that might even merit, a formal commission discussion and a formal view of the commission potentially before you simply represented the commission in your own individual capacity.
Well, one of the reasons that when I became chairman, that I tried to change sort of how we proceeded to get fuller input was precisely that. But again, the existing structure presents some of the challenges you're outlining.
So the other thing, one thing that I've only been in Congress 11 months or so, but one thing that's come up consistently, and it's why it's very helpful to have so many of you in one hearing, is this lack of transparency in the process that many in the industry feel. And yes, it's a new agency and it has growing pains and has structure to be put in place. But there's a right way and kind of a wrong way, I think, to do things in Washington. We all know the Administrative Procedures Act. We all know our obligation to openness. And in some cases, we've taken actions before we even have rules. I think somebody referenced that we've designated insurance companies before we've even set what the standards might be for insurance companies. So one thing I looked at is that in GSIFI capital surcharges, there's a very transparent mathematic, I've seen it written down, how to designate somebody for a GSIFI surcharge. And that looked very transparent to me, and yet we don't even have that level of information on routine decisions in considering non-bank SIFI designations, or even to some degree activities-based SIFI analysis. Who wants to comment on that? Maybe Chairman Grunberg, you might comment on that, since it's both a banking and a non-bank designation question.
Well, Congressman, as was discussed earlier, the FSOC established a a process for SIFI designation pursuant to rulemaking and public notice and comment. Actually, I think the rulemaking went through 3 series of public comments, and the first stage of the process, as I'm sure you know, is a set of metrics, a set of thresholds through which an institution would pass. And I must say there are a very high set of thresholds which would almost by definition be limited to some of the largest or most interlinked companies in the financial system. That is something that's any company can calculate in terms of projecting what the impact might be. And anyway, I'll stop there.